You ever get that feeling that you were born for something more? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating idea, one that comes from the psychic Edgar Cayce. The idea is that an entire generation was, you could say, spiritually chosen for a mission that is absolutely critical for Earth. So let's break down who these people are and what that mission is all about.
Okay, so first things first, let's get right to it. Were you born between 1957 and 1977? Because if that's you, the source material we're looking at says you've probably felt it your entire life. This quiet sense of just being different.
And that feeling, it usually comes with this question, right? Have you ever just felt like you don't really belong? Like you look at the systems and the rules of the world that everyone else just accepts and you can see right through them? Well, according to these readings, that feeling isn't some kind of flaw, it's a feature. It's a huge signpost pointing directly to the mission you were born to carry out.
So this idea of being a generation apart is totally central to your role. The thing is, you weren't meant to kick off the Great Awakening, and you're not going to be the ones to finish it either. No, your mission is something way more subtle. It's to hold the door open while all of humanity makes this incredibly critical transition from one age to the next.
I just love this metaphor, the roadies of consciousness evolution. I mean, think about it. Roadies are absolutely essential for any big show, but they do all their work behind the scenes, in the dark. That's exactly how this generation's work is framed. You're the shadow workers of a massive global shift, transforming reality without anyone even noticing. In this mission, being invisible is actually your superpower.
Cayce actually called this group the Indigo Wave. These were souls who showed up with their spiritual eyes already wide open. You just knew when things were off, even when you were a little kid. You could spot inauthenticity a mile away, not because you were cynical, but because you were born, you could say, disillusioned, which in this context is really just a form of illumination.
And this just nails the core struggle of your childhood, doesn't it? I mean, imagine being an ancient soul stuck in a little kid's body, forced to sit through classes being taught things you instinctively knew were false or incomplete. It's no wonder so many from this generation got labeled as difficult, oversensitive, or too intense. You weren't broken, you were just awake in a world that was still fast asleep.
So, you have to ask, where does this deep innate wisdom even come from? Well, the source material suggests your cosmic origins might not be entirely from around here. And that brings us to some pretty unique abilities.
This is where we get the concept of the star seed. The idea is that this generation has the highest percentage of souls who've actually had lives in other star systems. And, that would explain a lot, wouldn't it? It would explain why Earth can feel so foreign, so dense, and why sometimes you look up at the night sky and feel this profound sense of homesickness. You're not just here bridging generations, you're bridging worlds.
So, when you look at these signs, that feeling of being an alien, the weird ache when you see the stars, sensitivities to food or environments, even things like autoimmune issues or chronic fatigue, these aren't framed as weaknesses at all. They're presented as the symptoms of a highly advanced, multidimensional body that's just trying to cope with Earth's really dense frequency. In a way, your whole system is calibrated for a new reality, which makes you almost allergic to the old.
And this unique wiring gives you what's called bridge consciousness. It's a totally different operating system. Where the old world sees everything as either or, black and white, you instinctively see both and. You don't fit into neat little boxes and labels because your consciousness lives in the space between them. And this ability to hold multiple, even contradictory realities at once is exactly what makes you the perfect bridge for humanity.
Of course, being a human bridge is a huge and often incredibly painful job. So this next section is all about reframing the immense struggles you faced, not as random suffering, but as a purposeful and even sacred burden.
Man, this quote just captures that profound sense of isolation so perfectly. The constant dissonance of seeing the truth in a world that's built on illusions, the pain that comes from that is a central theme of your journey. But that burden, it was meant to transform you, not destroy you. At the very core of this sacred burden is the role of the karma breaker. Now get this, the source explains that you souls actually volunteered to take on the heaviest karmic loads. We're talking deep family patterns, ancestral trauma going back centuries, and even the collective wounds of humanity. You didn't come here for punishment, you came here to be alchemists, to literally take poison and turn it into medicine for the whole world.
So when we look at these struggles, depression, anxiety, addiction, isolation, these challenges that just seem totally disproportionate, the idea is to reframe them completely.
These are not personal failures. Let me say that again, not personal failures. They are the symptoms of your soul processing humanity's accumulated trauma. You are living, breathing digestive systems for collective poison, and the very fact that you're still here is proof of your incredible strength. So, how does all this heavy lifting actually get done? Well, your revolution isn't one that's fought on the streets with banners and signs. No, it's silent, it's invisible, and it happens on a quantum level.
I mean, how cool are these metaphors? They describe a totally different way of creating change. You're not fighting the old reality, you're hacking it from within the quantum field itself. Your very presence, the frequency you hold, literally dissolves old patterns and collapses old timelines. You are changing the source code of reality.
And these are just some of your invisible job titles. You're a timeline weaver, a memory keeper, a healer of healers. You influence things from the shadows, seeding ideas, preserving lost wisdom, and guiding the people who are supposed to be the guides. You're designing the new world, even if other people are going to be the ones to build it and take all the credit. And according to the source, that is exactly by design.
Okay, now this is a really fascinating concept. Ever feel like you've lived several completely distinct lives all in this one lifetime? The source suggests this could be because of something called a soul exchange. It's like a spiritual tag team. One soul comes in, completes its part of the mission, and then a more specialized soul steps in to continue the work. It's not possession, it's a cosmic collaboration.
Okay, this all brings us to the here and now, to the present day. As this generation moves into its 40s, 50s, and 60s, the mission is getting clearer and it's entering its final and most crucial phase.
At this stage of the game, the main work shifts away from doing and all into simply being. Your primary directives now are all about holding a frequency and anchoring light. The job is to basically become a living tuning fork for the new paradigm. Just by maintaining a stable, conscious frequency, you become a lighthouse, an anchor that helps everyone else navigate the storm.
And everything you have survived has prepared you for this exact role. Every single challenge, every dark night of the soul, it was never punishment. It was a refinement process. You had to be tested to the absolute breaking point, just to prove, mostly to yourself, that you were unbreakable. Because you are now holding the energetic space for humanity's most fragile transition ever.
And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. After decades of training and preparation, your power is fully realized. Not in your worldly accomplishments, but simply in your presence. It's in who you are. You are living activation keys. A simple conversation with you, a glance, can be enough to trigger a huge awakening in somebody else.
And the final, most powerful conclusion from all this is simply this: the bridge is now built. This generation is the bridge. And whether the world knows it or not, humanity is crossing over right now. And they're held stable and safe by your invisible, your indestructible, and your utterly irreplaceable presence. The mission is being fulfilled right now.